Good afternoon, everyone. This is a Prescott City Council regular voting meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 10th, and we'll start off with some announcements. But before we do, I did want to read a statement regarding the passing of Billy Orr. Billy and I had a lot of connections over the years. We were fellow Rotarians in the Sunup Rotary Club before she went over to Frontier. When the pickleball craze began, I remember playing pickleball with her over at the Willow Hills Baptist Church and helped support some of her efforts to raise money to create our own pickleball courts, which are quite extensive and very popular in the city. So the City of Prescott leadership and staff were saddened to learn of the death of former Councilwoman Dr. Billy Orr over the weekend. Dr. Orr served on City Council from 2015 to 2021. She was elected to 2 terms, but she resigned her position on council in January of 2021 when she announced her intention to move out of the area for health reasons. Her remaining term through 2023 was filled by Councilman Clark Tenney here. And during her tenure, she was selected by Mayor and Council to serve as Mayor Pro Tem from 2017 to 2020. Dr. Orr served as a council liaison to many city committees, including the Tourist Advisory Committee and the Committee on Well-Being, which she helped to organize. Dr. Orr was one of the leaders of the successful Yes for Prescott campaign in 2017, where voters approved a 3/4 cent sales tax increase, raising funds to pay the city's Public Safety Personnel Retirement System, PSPRS, unfunded liability. The tax went into effect on January 1st, 2018, and just 5 years later, the City Council voted to end the tax on January 1st, 2023. So that was just 10 days ago. Remarkable how the two significant events coincided, with projections showing that the balance of PSPRS would drop below 1.5 million, which triggered the expiration of the tax. So no doubt that Billy was a very significant leader in our community. All of the things that she was involved in outside of city government, including Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and Republican Women of Prescott, where she was a president there, is quite remarkable in her tenure here at the city. So I would ask that we all observe a moment of silence and recognition of her passing. Very good. Do we have any other announcements, Mr. Pro Tem?
We do, Mayor. The other announcements we have this week are the annual MLK March and church service is January 16th at 9:45, starting at Prescott College. The procession will walk to the courthouse plaza from there. For additional details, you can reach out to Jim Helbling, and if needed, also, the MLK City Hours. As a reminder, the City of Prescott offices and Prescott Public Library will be closed on Monday, January 16th in observance of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We'll reopen on Tuesday, January 17th for regular hours. Note that solid waste collection will continue on its normal schedule. Please have your trash curbside by 6 a.m. Curbside by 6 a.m. And an additional note, as I just learned in this study session, if you are confused about what to put into your recycling bin, you can simply go to PrescottRecycles.com, and there's a little recycling wizard there with common items, such as Mr. Tenney was talking about ammunition. If you're curious about how to get rid of your ammunition, you can click and it'll tell you exactly how to do it. So thanks to the Public Works Department, and if you're confused, PrescottRecycles.com. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We'll now have an invocation from Pastor Scott Savage of the Prescott Cornerstone Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we first and foremost lift up to you the family of Dr. Orr. We pray that you be with them as they grieve and they remember her life, their memories with her, and work through all of those emotions. We lift up this time and this meeting to you and our city. We thank you for the reminder in your word that you are always doing a new thing, that you are making streams in the desert and rivers in a wasteland. And we pray that you would continue to do a great work in our city. We pray that you would do new things in this season. And we pray for our leaders, that you'd guide them with wisdom and discernment, and that you would give them a strong moral compass and character, and that the foundation of our city would remain the values and the virtues that are underneath all of the documents and founding of our country. We pray that this year would be a year of thriving and flourishing for our community, both for those who've called this home for many years and those who will move here during this year. We pray this time would be led well, and we thank you for those who've sacrificed themselves to serve on our behalf. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in pledging allegiance as we embark on a new set of leadership in our state and federal leadership in our House of Representatives. So I ask you to pledge allegiance to our great constitutional republic and the flag that represents it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor. So we'll start off with the roll call, please.
Mayor Good.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Montoya.
Here.
Councilwoman Cantelmi.
Here.
Councilmember Rusing.
Here.
Councilman Sischka.
Here.
Councilman Tenney.
Yes.
And the record will reflect that Councilman Moore is excused from the meeting.
Now we have a couple of proclamations. We'll start off with the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service on January 16th, presented by Mayor Pro Tem Montoya.
Is there representatives here for the Martin Luther King? Come on up. All right. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service, January 16th, 2023. Whereas the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service is intended to empower individuals, strengthen communities, bridge barriers, create solutions to social problems, and through nonviolence move us closer to Dr. King's vision of a beloved community. And whereas Dr. King devoted his life to advancing equality, social justice, and opportunity for all, and challenged all Americans to participate in the never-ending work of building a more perfect union. And whereas Dr. King's teachings can guide us, inspire us in addressing challenges in our community, remind us to treat all people with dignity and respect, and demonstrate generosity in giving and sharing of ourselves and of our bounty. And whereas Dr. King's dream for these teachings to be manifested for all people everywhere will lead us to continue working to make that dream a reality in our community and to demonstrate our commitment to his dream by keeping all our city's communities free from all forms of discrimination and harassment. And whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is the only federal holiday commemorated as a national day of service and offers an opportunity for Americans to give back to their communities on the holiday and make an ongoing commitment to service throughout the year. And whereas days of service help to raise awareness, mobilize volunteers, and provide individuals with the opportunity to engage and build new connections and help nonprofits find support for their programs. Now, therefore, Phil Good, Mayor of City of Prescott, does hereby proclaim the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday to be a day of service in Prescott and call upon the people of Prescott to pay tribute to the life and works of Dr. King through participation in community service projects on Martin Luther King Jr. Day and throughout the year. Would one of you like to say a few words? Okay.
Okay, so I'm Jim Helbling. I'm the coordinator for the Martin Luther King Committee. We have a joint leadership group, and two of them are here with us today. And so, yeah, we would really like you guys to come out and celebrate the commemoration of a great American hero, Dr. King, who did so much for this country in terms of civil rights, and in his goal to try to bring everybody together, end discrimination, and to try to just improve the social justice of our nation. And so we're going to be starting at 9:45, as Mayor Pro Tem Montoya said a little while ago. We'll meet at the Prescott College Welcome Center, which is on the corner of Grove and Western, not too far off of Gurley. We'll march from there around the courthouse square. We will have a Native American smoke blessing at the beginning of the march this year, and a member of the Yavapai tribe will march in full headdress. After the march, we will go to the Prescott United Methodist Church on Gurley, and there we'll have a celebration. And we have several dynamic speakers, some great musical acts, and for the first time, we're going to have a middle school panel. So we have 3 middle schoolers from North Point Academy that are going to be joining us, and that we're going to have a little panel discussion on stage as a part of the celebration this year. And so we're really excited, and we hope all of you can make it. We hope the city council members can make it and the mayor can make it. It would be great to have everybody there. So thank you. Thanks.
Well, now it's my honor and privilege to present this proclamation recognizing U.S. vets for their 20th anniversary here in Prescott. So all of you folks in those bright red T-shirts, you're welcome to join me up here. And being a veteran myself and really supporting U.S. vets efforts over many years now. This is really a terrific milestone.
It's a lot of red shirts.
How you doing? Yeah, you fly boys.
Once these guys are gone, the room's going to tilt this way.
I know. God, we should make them stay.
Well, in a few months, we're going to have a much larger city hall, and we'll be able to accommodate groups like this.
For sure.
U.S. Vets, Prescott's 20th anniversary, January 16th, 2023. I got one more whereas than he did. Whereas U.S. Vets has served over 8,108 veterans since 2003. Whereas U.S. Vets currently houses 182 veterans each night while providing 478,296 meals since 2003. And whereas U.S. Vets offers wraparound services including transitional and permanent housing, workforce career development, case management, counseling, and therapeutic services. And whereas U.S. Vets continues to expand their critical service to include housing at their Liberty Point campus, and soon providing an additional 103 units focused on low-income elder veterans at the Northern Arizona VA healthcare system at Fort Whipple. And whereas U.S. Vets is dedicated to providing affordable housing to the brave men and women who serve their country proudly and who are at risk or currently experiencing homelessness. And whereas U.S. Vets has assisted 1,646 veterans in obtaining permanent housing and 843 to secure gainful employment that has led to becoming independent and self-sufficient, I, therefore, Phil Good, Mayor of Prescott, invite the residents of the City of Prescott to join in celebrating U.S. Vets Prescott's 20th anniversary. Congratulations. Earl Benedict, would you like to say a few words?
I will, thank you. It is our privilege to serve veterans in our community, and we are only able to do all of the work that was mentioned here based on the support we get from our city council, mayor, the town hall, the county, and of course our incredible community here in Prescott and the surrounding areas. We are grateful for the support and look forward to continuing another 20 years of serving veterans and serving those who served our nation. Thank you.
How do we do this? Okay.
Here we go.
Thank you very much. Here's your proclamation. I'm sure you'll find a place to frame that and hang it in a prominent place. Thank you, veterans. Thank you very much. Thanks, Danny. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for serving our veterans. Thank you very much.
Mayor, we appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
So you're not worried about
All right, next we have presentations. Update from staff regarding Public Safety Personnel Retirement System, PSPRS, and Arizona State Retirement System, ASRS.
Thank you, Sarah. Mayor and Council, Mark Woodfill, Budget and Finance Director. Today we go over the June 30 of 2022 actuarial evaluation. And of course, as you mentioned earlier, Mayor, we had to make projections because this is always 6 months after the fact that we actually get the number that we're at. So this is what the numbers were 6 months ago, so keep that in mind as we talk about different things in here. As you can see, the cities, with the help of the voters and of course Dr. Orr and all of the rest of the council who put it on the ballot, we've been able to bring this down from a 30% funding ratio to a 94.4% at the end of 2022, which is just incredible. The additional payments council has made above and beyond the regular ARC, the annual required contribution, is part of the reason that we have been able to retire this early, as well as significant growth above the projection in our sales tax base during the 5 years that it was done. But just as a reminder, during the campaign, the council committed to sending $11 million of general fund reserve if the tax passed, as well as any proceeds from the sale of Station 7 and the hot shot buggies. And then, of course, the tax itself through June of 22 had brought in $65,972,000. And then we also had contributions from the state for the hot shot liability. And there remains another $3 million expected from the state. And in fiscal year 23, so far, the first 4 months of the year, 5 months of the year, we have received almost $6 million additional in the tax. So that will go to bring down that $8 million number. That, along with the remaining months on the tax, as well as the $3 million from the state, and we'll be very close to the 1.5, like I've said over and over. The only thing I will guarantee you is that I will not hit 1.5 exactly. We will do the best we can, and I think we did that with shutting the tax off when we did. Some other things to note from the actuarial evaluations, which of course are available on our website at cityofprescott.net, as well, cityofprescott.az.gov. It changed from a few years ago. It used to be the other. As well as on the PSPRS website. is the populations in our two trusts, and I combine them here or have them separate in the total. But looking at the total, we have 85 active members in the two trusts in Tier 1 and Tier 2, which is where the liability is and where the liability came from. We've seen the number in Tier 3 go up significantly over the last few years since Tier 3 has been created. Now there's 29 in there. I think we're actually up to 31 if we were to do it today, because we've had additional employees. It's important to note Tier 3 is fully funded at this point, actually slightly overfunded. Tier 3 also has a very different structure than Tier 1 and Tier 2, which includes an equal sharing of the liability between the employer and the employee, as well as the fact that several agencies, all but I believe 6, are pooled into one pool, and we're part of that pool. And that's what's important in pension actuarial science, is getting a pool big enough so that the dispersion of deaths versus the projected in reality all equal out. So I think a lot of those factors will keep Tier 3 very healthy as we move into the future. Of course, only time will tell as Tier 3 ages and starts paying pensions. Yes, Councilman, did you have a question? Guess not. Did you have a question? Or, okay.
I don't have a question.
Okay. Just as a comparison, since I noticed Sarah was nice enough to also note Arizona State Retirement on this item, I would just point out Arizona State Retirement is a pool of all agencies involved in that retirement system. It currently has 208,000 active members. Again, so that's how you get a healthier pension, is you have more people, a more diverse population. Another interesting thing, this is a graph we've used various places, and I think council has seen it in various forms of completion. Obviously, we have one more year we've added to it. This graph shows the contribution rates that we were required to pay in time, and then noted on there the 2 different elections that we had. And as you can see, it was quickly killing our general fund, as we were close to 100% contribution to the pension. For every dollar we would pay an employee, we'd have to pay $1 into the pension. And it would have gone well above 100% if Prop 443 had not passed. As you can see, as Prop 443 has passed, as we projected during that time, the rates have gone down, the liability has gone down, which is what we all hoped and what the numbers showed. And you can see police and fire are coming down significantly. Fire's still got a little bit more of a liability than police, but again, they also have additional contributions coming from the state for that other liability. The green bar across the bottom is the ASRS rate, which is very stable, again, because of the size of the pension. So you see that we will be back to a more reasonable pension rate as we go into the future. So let's talk about a problem, not a problem, a factor that we'll have to consider as we go into the future. Earnings rates, and this is one of many actuarial assumptions that are part of the actuarial evaluation. And it's one of the assumptions that I think gets the most press. It's probably not the most effective variable in the actuarial as far as moving the liability, but it does get the most press. As we look, this is their actual earning rate over time. As you can see, they've gone from earning 0 in a year to -20 to +20 to all over. The last 2 years in 21, they earned 26.1%. This last year in 22, they earned 4.2%. It's very the rate. This is the average rate. This green bar.
Isn't that negative 4.2%?
Yes, I'm sorry. Did I not say that?
Yeah.
You said Paul for us.
No, negative. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you can see from the graph, it is negative 4.2. Yes.
Still not bad.
If we look at the 7-year average, which is what is part of the actuarial, that's that green bar that's up there. It's a lot more stable, and we compare that to their assumed rate, which just went down from 7.3 to 7.2. So our 7-year average is about at the assumed rate. Is 7.2 still too high? That's a matter for debate and a matter for the future to tell us. I'd feel better if it had been lower, but it's too late now as far as the tax goes. Just to contrast that with Arizona State Retirement, their assumed rate is 7%. They earned 26.1% in 21, and they had a negative year in 22 of only 0.2%. So that they did a little bit better with their earnings. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions. Like I say, hopefully in a year from now or 6 months from now, I'll be able to tell you exactly what we received in the 443 tax. A year from now, I'll be able to tell you when the next actuarial comes out exactly what that looks like on the actuarial valuation.
Well, I think it's a terrific achievement that the city and all of our tourists helped us achieve, because they were the ones that contributed significantly to the sales tax that allowed us to get to this point. So it was certainly a major achievement and a milestone, but I would caution the fact that the PSPRS Investment Board continues to underperform, continues to overestimate their average return, and I think we see that just in the return that we just looked at for this year end. So they underperform by a full 4% over ASRS. And even though they have made some modest improvements in their investment team and the qualifications of those teams, they still spend a extraordinarily high amount of administrative overhead on outside investment advice. So I think as long as we stay on council here, we have to anticipate that we may have to continue to offer some additional contributions to make sure that our investment unfunded liability doesn't start growing again.
Excellent. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
And I just wanted to mention the fact that even I've been looking at receipts here over the last couple of days, and we have some retailers who haven't made their adjustment. It's no longer 9.1%, it's 8.35. So even though that may not have a big impact on your chai lattes, if you want to go out and buy a new car, I'm telling you, it'll make a big difference. So we have a lot of automotive retailers in the city that I'm sure are going to appreciate this.
Yeah, and thank you, Mayor. And just to clarify on both those points, we will be bringing, as part of the FY24 budget process, required by law, we got to update our pension policy each year, but part of that update we're going to bring you this year is an approach to establishing a stability reserve for PSPRS so that we can address those fluctuations, as well as a plan on how we're going to fund that stabilization reserve. So that we'll discuss that as we get into the budget process. As far as the retailers that haven't changed their taxes, as we see those in the community, we are calling them and they are fixing them. And we were very proactive with the large retailers, calling the Costco's and the Findlays and all the auto dealers and making sure that they knew that the rate had gone down. So they are responding as we contact them. So if you do have anybody that is still charging the higher rate, we'd be glad to contact them if you can let us know who they are.
Very good. Thanks, Mark. Any comments or concerns? Councilman Shishka?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Mark, as Tier 3 advances and more people go into Tier 3, which is defined contribution, right?
You have an option.
It's an option. It's a defined benefit or a
But as
defined
more and more people go into that versus Tiers 1 and 2, which are defined benefits,
right.
is that going to affect our ability to pay for Tiers 1 and 2?
The way it currently works is the Tier 3 rate that the employer is charged includes a factor for the unfunded liability in Tier 1 and Tier 2.
Okay.
Tier 1 and Tier 2 will continue to be a problem until the pension liability is exhausted. That's a nice way of saying until everybody has passed away, unfortunately. And it's going to continue to be a fluctuating thing, which is why we're going to bring you a policy to address that fluctuation reserve as part of the pension policy, because it is too small, which is what I have been preaching from day one on this. So anybody who sets up pensions with only 50 people in a pension, you're going to be prone to fluctuation based on the reality of the financial aspects. So they're going to continue to be an issue. They will go negative depending on market fluctuations. They will not go as negative as they were. They won't be the burden that they were to the general fund. But we want to have a stability reserve set up so we can address these things as they go forward.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Well, thank you, Mark, and obviously we will continue to monitor our liability status as the years progress.
And we will keep bringing it to you every December as they give them to us.
Thank you, Mark. I'll look forward to that. All right, I think we move on to an open call to the public.
We do, Mayor. The City of Prescott welcomes public engagement. Residents may comment and address council regarding matters that are not included on the posted agenda during the call to the public. If you wish to speak, please complete a green speaker card and submit it to me prior to the meeting being convened. As a reminder, speakers are limited to 4 minutes, and the call to the public will be limited to 40 minutes in total. I do not have any green cards at this time. Is there anyone that wishes to address council? Okay, that's it.
Very good, thank you. Then we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have items A through J. Does anyone want to pull an item from consent? Fantastic. Hearing none, then I'll entertain a motion for the full consent agenda.
Mayor, I move to approve consent agenda items 9A through 9J.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 6-0.
All right, next is liquor licenses.
Thank you, Mayor. Public hearing and consideration for a new Series 12 restaurant liquor license application from Lee Ki Chen, applicant for WZ Poke and Ramen Restaurant, location 258 North Lee Boulevard. The application fees have been paid. The signs have been posted for the required 20 days. Staff has reviewed the application and determined that it is in compliance, and no public comments have been received.
Very good. Is the applicant present? I guess not. All right, then I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Mayor, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion is second, please vote.
Passes 6-0.
Mayor, I move to approve recommendation for liquor license number 217925 for new Series 12 restaurant liquor license application for WZ Poke and Ramen Restaurant, location 258 North Lee Boulevard.
Second.
A motion is second, please vote.
Passes 6-0.
All right, that concludes item A. We'll move to item B.
Public hearing and consideration for a new Series 12 restaurant liquor license application from Kevin Stephen Ayala Carrillo, applicant for the Waffle Iron, location 420 East Sheldon Street. The application fees have been paid and the sign has been posted for the required 20 days. Staff has reviewed the application and determined that it is in compliance. No public comments have been received.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Come on up. I know the Waffle Iron was one of the very first restaurants I ever visited, probably 16 years ago when I was driving down Sheldon Street. So I don't recall at the time whether they had Bloody Marys in the morning, but How are you planning on utilizing this new liquor license there at the Waffle Iron? I know there's been some upgrades there, and what are your plans?
My plans are to do, like you said, Bloody Marys and mimosas, and just spirits that make brunch mostly just fun and exciting, especially for tourists that drive by there a lot. And that's my plan, just to make brunch a little more fun with Bloody Marys, micheladas, and mimosas.
Very good. So it's good to hear that the Waffle Iron is still one of our long-term kind of iconic breakfast and lunch locations, and good luck to you on continuing to operate it and make it even more attractive.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion is second, please vote.
Passes 6-0.
Mayor, I move to approve the recommendation for liquor license number 214984 for new Series 12 restaurant liquor license application for the Waffle Iron, location 420 East Sheldon Street.
Second.
Motion is second, please vote.
Passes 6-0.
Very good. All right, we'll move into our regular agenda.
Update regarding the Mayor's Charter Review Commission, and I'll be doing that. I just have a brief update for Mayor and Council today. As you're all aware, the Mayor formed a new ad hoc commission late last year. The group began meeting in December and will continue to meet 2 times monthly, likely through early summer, in hopes of presenting a charter amendment for the 2023 general election ballot. The group has already selected a number of articles and sections of the charter that they'll be focusing on, and they're making excellent progress. I will be providing regular updates to the council regarding the commission's plans and progress, and they will also be presenting during study sessions on April 11th and May 23rd, and council would likely have a resolution with some ballot language in early June.
Thank you, City Clerk. I know that some people are aware of this, but, you know, we're one of only 19 out of all 91 cities and towns in the state that are a chartered city. So because we have our own city charter, it represents, in essence, our city constitution. So it determines how the city operates, how this city is structured, and it allows us to really have much more independence on how all of those issues are established and conducted over the course of any particular day, month, or year. The city, non-chartered cities are much more under the direction of the legislature. And for probably the most prominent example is the fact that we have our elections in off years. And that's a part of our city charter, so that we aren't overwhelmed by the political environment that comes from state and national elections. So the point is that the city charter has not been reviewed, amended, or updated in over, I think, a dozen years.
It was last done in 2011.
2011, so right there, 12 years almost. So we'll take a kind of a primary view of it and look at some of the more significant issues that we would like to put in front of the public for their approval to change. And then we'll probably have a secondary process where we'll look at maybe some of the minor things, just like language and reference to a council man versus a council member, or he or she, and some of these other references that I think are appropriately updated to just reference the title of people and their directions, and whether they're a director or some other position, and not necessarily reference gender in the city charter. So that's where we are intending to go, and I think we're making some pretty good progress. So we'll keep the council and the public updated as the progress continues. And at this point, I'll recognize Mayor Pro Tem Montoya.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say I've had the pleasure to serve as the liaison for council to this committee, and I will say that the members of this, or commission, I should say, and the members of the commission, they have represent a variety of viewpoints in the community, and I think that one of the things that I admire is that they're quickly going to the process of getting to work and tackling the substantive issues. I think Sarah could probably advocate for that as well, that they're really rolling up their sleeves and doing work. And I think it's one of those situations where when we get a presentation, a study session, they'll have done a lot of the heavy lifting and vetting of this process so that our job and lives will be a lot easier as we consider recommending potential adjustments to our charter.
I think everybody on the council would like their lives to be a lot easier. Council Member Roosing.
Thank you. Obviously, this was something that was way overdue, and I want to thank you very much for tackling this. My question is, when can the public expect to see some of these items, changes on the ballot?
As I mentioned, Councilmember Roosing, the goal is to have them on the general election ballot, which is November 7th, 2023.
So, this year?
Yes.
This year.
Nice.
Correct. And as these updates come, as we meet on a monthly basis, then obviously we'll be able to give a report on how we're progressing and what the issues are that are of primary concern. All right, any other questions or comments? No, I think we can move to item 11B.
Approval of city contract number 2023-130 with Prescott Downtown Partnership for the annual summer concert series and flower basket program and donation.
Good afternoon, Mayor Good, Council. Ann Stewart, Tourism and Economic Initiatives Manager. Here today with the request for the next summer concert series and flower basket contract with the Prescott Downtown Partnership. Prescott Downtown Partnership is here today. They will be making a presentation after my comments, and then there will be time for questions at that time. The Prescott Downtown Partnership and the City of Prescott have had a 7-year relationship regarding the summer concert series. As a reminder, the summer concert series was initially a city function, but was then privatized. And at this point, the Prescott Downtown Partnership has been the event coordinator and the planner of this series since that time. It's important to note that the Prescott Downtown Partnership stepped up at the time that the city got rid of this function to take over the summer concert series, which would have otherwise been discontinued altogether. The request for the approval is for a 2-year contract. Annual amount of $75,000. Funding is available in the Transient Occupancy or Bed Tax Fund. PDP did go before TAC, the Tourism Advisory Committee, and TAC is recommending this item for approval. Lastly, I always like to mention that a bed tax is a tax that is paid by a visitor when they stay in one of our lodging properties. These taxes make up the Transient Occupancy or Bed Tax Fund. And the support of the summer concert series from the bed tax dollars is a perfect example of the bed tax dollars going back to the community to support an event that actually directly benefits our residents and our community and continues to contribute to our quality of life. So at this time, I'll introduce Audra Yamamoto, Executive Director of the Prescott Downtown Partnership. And again, after the presentation, we will answer questions. There may be some questions I might not be able to answer. Some of the history predates my liaison work with the committee, so I may look to some of my colleagues. But at this time, I'll introduce Audra.
Thank you, Anne. Hello again. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Audra Yamamoto. I'm with Prescott Downtown Partnership, and wanted to thank everybody for having us here today and reconsidering our contract that's coming up. I know it's a little blustery outside, but we are definitely looking forward to the summer, and so hopefully this will bring a little bit of sunshine here into our weather. So I wanted to start off a little bit before we talked about the 23-24 seasons and just touch back on some highlights from this last year. I have to tell you, we had a phenomenal time doing this. As you guys know, all new, we were complete turnover on this. We formed a new committee within our Prescott Downtown Partnership Board of Directors, and everyone really stepped up. And we had a really great time. One of the things that we sort of shifted around was really focusing on our local talent. And as you all know, this town just has amazing, amazing talent, music, arts, performing arts, media, all the things. And so it was really, really neat to have some of these new bands come in. And for some of them, this was their largest performance that they ever had. And so being out there on the Courthouse Plaza, beautiful night when it wasn't raining, it was just a really wonderful experience. So we really built some really great relationships with our local musicians here. One of the other great highlights was the National Night Out kickoff. And that was, as you can tell from the picture, it was a little rainy that night. But that one was really fun. And in tandem with that, that was when we hosted our exclusive behind the scenes tour. And thank you to the mayor and council members Rusing, Sishka, and Tani for making it out there with your spouses. I think it was kind of cool. I think the South Tunnel was the best part about that tour. But it was just a really neat way to give back and to share with you what it is that we're doing when we're out there and putting together these summer concert series, and then to be able to see and meet some of the crowd that do come out to see this. Another really great point that Anne made as well is the local attendance. I did have the privilege of being out there for 26 out of 28 of the shows. We have regulars. There's definitely summer concert series regulars. They're out there every night, or they're out there every time for the Jazz Tuesdays. And it was really, really neat to get to know them. And they would come up and thank us for what we were doing. And they were just very appreciative of what it was that we have going on downtown. Definite Quad City presence down there. We did not see a lot of tourism on some of the Friday shows we did, but most of the crowd was our local residents here. And so that was kind of a nice feeling to be able to give back. I know tourism does play a large part in this town. It's beautiful. We want to share this with everybody, but this is really a nice hometown event that we have going on. We also had a lot of band groupies out there. 3 nights out of the summer, we had the Los Fuentes folks out there, and it was just a nice environment for them to come out. Very nice and safe. Our top attendance, by my guesstimate, counting out, it was about 2,500 people out there, and that was on one of the Friday nights. So we're drawing a really great crowd with this program. Our live stream reach, we really kind of boosted this up a little bit more this year. We've been working with Prescott Pro Sound. They've been putting together the live stream, really nice performance, or really nice setup that they have going on there, averaging just shy, a little over 900 views per show. And what the nice thing is that the bands are really sharing this on their social media platforms, and they've got family. I mean, we've got people in Wisconsin and Washington State piping up on the comments and, hey, we're watching live. We love Prescott. I've never been there, but we love your summer concert series. So our reach really is beyond that physical right now. And it has been a really nice platform for guest engagement as well. And then the last highlight, I really want to point out PDP's commitment to this program. Like I said, we had a great time. Our board members that are on this committee include Candy Hull, she owns a Clothes Hound. Autumn Klein has Prescott Trading Company. They're both here with us today, as well as Matt Broussard. All 3 are on Whiskey Row and own their businesses on Whiskey Row. So they see the impact and they see the benefit of what the summer concert series does for the town, especially during the weekdays. We know we're all busy on the weekends in town. This is a really nice draw to bring some just infuse some energy into the downtown during the week. This year, we're also able to integrate with some of our industry partners as well. So we had Ted Leonard from Prescott Pro Sound, along with Zach Drake, helping out along the way with the process. And we've also partnered with Gary Warup from the Greater Prescott Outdoor Fund. Both of them are also here today. Thank you for coming. And they were just able to fill in a lot of the gaps, really round out the experience profile that we had going into this. Last year, we did get a late start on this. This year, as soon as this happens, we're going right into our process. So we've got a really strong team behind this particular program. One of the biggest things, and I did highlight this down on the bottom, is recognition that Summer Concert Series strongly aligns with our core values and our mission statement, focusing on our downtown, focusing on downtown Prescott. So we are now getting ready for the next year. Over the last few months and currently we are prepping and planning for some new initiatives that we would like to introduce into the next season. Just so that you know, in January we do the band selection process. We're putting out a call to musicians right after this meeting here. We're going to be looking at sponsorship fulfillment as well as finalizing promotional plans, finalizing logistics. We'll do a promo push in May and then it'll be showtime in June. So some of the initiatives that we're looking at for this next year, we are looking at breaking out and having a dedicated social media platform. So right now, everything is functioning under our Prescott Downtown Partnership social media on our Facebook and Instagram. We would like to break that out, have our own summer concert series. And what that allows us to do is do more targeted promotion. So we'll be able to work in with some of the local music groups, the music Facebook pages and things like that, be able to get more in touch with our musicians. Plus, we'll be able to carry engagement throughout the year. So not just the 3 months that we're performing, but throughout the year, we can do a little flashbacks and a promo for musicians that are coming up as they're booking. And so really engaging this and making sure that we've have a captured audience through the entire year. Another thing that we're looking at is rebranding and upping our promotion as well. Last year, we were just getting our feet under us, and so we wanted to figure out what we were up against before we really pushed hard. Now we're ready to push hard. We're looking forward to that. We're also restructuring our sponsorship program, creating more of a tiered system, just organizing it a little bit better. We'll soon have rock stars, groupies, and roadies, all businesses that can contribute to promoting the Summer Concert Series. And then the last one, the Friends of Summer Concert Series, is brand new. We are partnering, we just entered into an agreement, our partnership with the Greater Prescott Outdoor Fund. Greater Prescott Outdoor Fund has been supporting the musicians separately. We just found all of this out last year. Thank you to Gary Warup and his team. They have really been supporting the musicians. And so what we're gonna do is create an actual program where individuals can come in and support $20 here, $50 here to see the program keep going. We'll give them some little perks along the way. Everything will be funneled through the Greater Prescott Outdoor Fund, and we'll be doing that promotional push in February. So the financial structure, excuse me one moment. Apologies, I'm getting over a cold, so I'm a little scratchy right now. So the financial structure that we're looking for right now is that the City of Prescott partnership would go towards all of our hard costs. So this would include the sound and lighting cost, our base musician pay, cleaning, and security. The Friends of Summer Concert Series, all of those funds would go directly to the musicians, split out equally. And then the program sponsorships, this is going to be our rock stars, groupies, and roadies. That's going to really go to bolster our marketing, printing, and administration, looking to hire a part-time or, as needed social media manager, and really up some of the exposure that we have with this. Of those hard costs, this is what it looks like broken down. We've got an estimate of $65,000 for Prescott Pro Sound, the restrooms and trash, and bass musician pay. Security is new, just so you know. We did run into some issues last year. Prescott Downtown Partnership does work in conjunction with Yavapai County facilities, with the courthouse security as well, and Prescott PD and the Sheriff's Office. We do an annual meeting in March and touch base on some of the issues that we see coming up in the summer. And so we did have a heads up for that. We weren't quite prepared. What we ended up doing was hiring rangers. We had 2 rangers come out every evening of the concert series, and I will tell you what, that helped 100%. Just them being there, a lot of our guests did go up and thank them just for their service in general. They didn't understand why they were there, but it really lent a feeling of security and safety and comfort to all of our guests, and to me as well, because I'm not physically fit to deal with things like that. So that is what our hard costs are looking like. So our contract renewal, as Ann mentioned, we are looking for a 2-year contract renewal. It is $10,000 more than what our previous contract was. This is obviously covering a lot of the increase in costs that are going on across the board, inflation and labor costs and labor retention and all of that. 1,000 of that we will keep allocated for the Flower Baskets program. And then we are adjusting the payments to be dispersed in January and July as well. So that is where we are at. We're very excited about what's to come, and I hope you will consider us for contract renewal.
Thank you very much, Audra, for the presentation. I know that the summer concert series, in my opinion, is really one of the iconic activities available downtown that so many people take advantage of. And you're right, sometimes it may not be a direct tourism draw, but a lot of people hear about this and talk about it. And when we have a new city hall down here with residents and more visitors, they'll be contributing to our bed tax as well, and probably would like to take a short walk over to the downtown courthouse to enjoy the music. I know I try to get out there as frequently as I can, and I always have Ted Leonard out there complaining about the weather. But nevertheless, he soldiers through and gets it done. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Sanford, for participating and always being the MC that we need so well. And you do that so well. Candy and the rest of the board there that continues to put these events on. And I do want to remind everyone that this is funded through the bed tax. So as we continue to have more tourists and more family and other people that visit the city and fill up those hotel rooms, it's a kind of a self-funding mechanism. Councilmember Rusing.
Thank you. Welcome, Audra. I would just like to say that our Courthouse Plaza, I look at it as Prescott's living room. And the events down there are also very important to have those summer events, because it does give us that feeling of being everyone's hometown, to be able to come down there safely and enjoy the entertainment. And I just would like to ask some questions about last week I read in the Courier with the county. It sounded like you decided not to provide entertainment for the county anymore, and they're going to hire their own person. I couldn't really ascertain what was going on.
Certainly, not a problem. That's not the first time I got many texts and phone calls and emails about all of this. So I think what happened with all of that, it was a general misunderstanding of Of what it is, a lack of understanding of what that contract is that we held with the county. And so if you will indulge me, I'll try to keep it as brief as possible, but I would like to run everybody through what happened and where we're at now and what it's going to look like in the future.
I'm just worried about
Yeah,
going
we're
beyond
off the agenda.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank
Oh.
I
you.
think that
Oh, okay.
relevant to how you are, you can answer that, but as to your contract there, it'd be outside the scope of the agenda.
Okay.
Let's keep it focused on this summer concert series and the Flower Path.
So I think what's important is this contract with the city involves the summer concert series, which PDP is the event coordinator and event planner for the summer concert series. The question you had to do with the contract they have with the county where they're managing that space, and they have decided to withdraw managing the actual space for other events, but they will continue to be the event coordinator and the planner for the summer concert series.
Okay.
The elevator pitch on that is that if you think of a large apartment complex, I will keep this short, I promise. If you think of a large,
It's not a matter of timing, Audra. This is not an agendized item.
okay.
So we can't discuss it unless we
I
put it on
apologize.
the.
Okay, no worries. And
Okay.
I'm happy to take it offline if we want to set up another meeting or something to that effect. Let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then I had another question about there's going to be a new position created of a downtown manager. It says here on page 2 of the contract, funding a downtown manager position.
I think,
Social media, maybe?
does that have to do with the county's new position? And if that does, then that wouldn't correlate with the
Well, it's
summer
on,
concert series.
it's in our packet on our contract between the partnership and the city of Prescott.
in the contract.
It's on paragraph 3 of page 2. Assist in funding a downtown manager position.
Are you sure you don't have, do you have a new contract?
Well, it was what was in my packet on Thursday.
Yeah, because that part was taken out. I have a number 3, I have something different for.
Okay, because
Yeah.
this says contract number 2023-130.
Does say that.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen, or?
Well, the contract is for them to manage the summer concert series.
Okay.
And then it talks about that that PDP that basically continues to help with the management and of downtown, like not necessarily the management, but the growth and the enterprise of downtown. So they're working with the merchants to do that. So maybe, if there's a little bit of confusion in the contract part, that might clarify that for you.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, then we probably should amend this contract language to eliminate the reference to downtown manager position
Yeah.
on item 3. What is that?
Page 2.
Yeah,
Paragraph 3 on
Page
page
2, paragraph 3.
Yeah. So Joe, they're welcome at this on the dais to amend the contract on that part.
We can do
Yes, that
that.
would be part of the motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Councilwoman Cantelmi.
Yes, thank you very much for doing this presentation. We have been going to those for many, many years and really enjoy it. And it is actually great for visitors, and a lot of the tourists that hang around for the weekend want to come specifically to attend those. But I did want to, just for a lot of the new people that have moved in the area, just have a clarification for exactly what we're just talking about. This courthouse square is a county island. And on the county island, during the summer, we have events and we have a separate entity of the concert series. And so it isn't just, again, for the benefit of the new people here that don't understand that, it's a little confusing. There are 2 separate managers of the different things that go on down there. The concert series is one, the events is another, and I think there's another one, like the bicycle events may have another manager or administrator. But that's just for an explanation so everybody understands the fact that that is a county island, and we're talking about 2 separate things.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councilman Tenney.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to underscore
you and Councilwoman Rusing mentioned earlier, it really is a great part of our culture in the city, especially in the summer. I've been down there and started chatting with folks who were out of town, and they'd asked about it, said, yeah, we do this almost every week, sometimes a couple of times a week. I said, seriously, this is such a great thing. So it's a neat thing, certainly for residents, but also for a handful of tourists as well. And as Ann mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, it's in my mind at least, the perfect use of bed tax dollars going right back into the community to boost tourism and to benefit our residents as well. So thanks for what you're doing. I'm certainly in favor of this.
Very good. If there are no other questions or comments, do we have any public comments?
We do. Sanford Cohen?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council and staff. I'm Sanford Cohen, Arizona's hometown radio group at 3755 Caricio Lane in Prescott. And as a frame of reference, I was president of the Downtown Prescott Association, the group that preceded the PDP, and we managed events on the Courthouse Plaza for over 12 years, which culminated in the construction of the downtown parking garage, which we then lateraled the management of the events to the PDP when they formed. Mr. Mayor, I wanted to thank you for your kind words regarding the use of my God-given talent of being an MC. Unfortunately, the folks at the Prescott Downtown Partnership have not seen fit to avail themselves of such talents, which I'm hoping that with my conversations with Council members Rusing and Cantelmi and Sishka one-on-one, that they understand that when the city makes an investment in an event like this, there are opportunities that are being missed for the city to promote itself, for lack of a better word, in front of this group. Last year, I should say 2 years ago, we were the incumbent radio station group promoting this event. We had announcers at every event, whether it be me or someone else. We were given the opportunity not only to promote, but also to have the PDP come to our radio stations and promote the events individually and collectively, something that we were very proud of. Unfortunately, it was not the best of times for the financial wherewithal of the PDP, and so when, even though we did end up with what I thought was a successful series, when the opportunity came the following year to present them with a multi-$1,000 package at no cost to be a sponsor of this event and to promote it, we were turned down. Something that I still, to this day, can't figure out the justification for, other than we were told that this was going to be a print-promoted event. Well, that makes sense if you're doing book readings and things like that, but a musical event, when you have a music station group that's headquartered here in Prescott, that's a dues-paying member to this organization for over 20 years, why on earth would you not avail yourselves of that opportunity to further promote? And not only that, the substitution of lessers in the announcing of the events in the beginning, where ultimately, instead of coming to us or calling upon us to provide that professional service, that was left to my good friend Ted Leonard to announce from the soundboard. And, you know, I come to a lot of those concerts, and Ted would say to me, "Hey, cowboy, how come you're not up there doing the announcing?" It's like, well, you know, I wasn't allowed to. And with all due respect, I think that if you're putting this kind of money on the table for summer concert series, you should command some sort of fiscal responsibility for it. And if you have a local business that's willing to devote thousands of dollars in free advertising, it is, I think, fiscally responsible for you to insist that they take us up on that. Because otherwise, these are the hard costs that they are taking your money and investing in. Well, our promotional opportunities with our radio stations bear no hard cost. We are doing those as a contribution for the greater good of the city of Prescott. And so, again, we have done everything I think we possibly could to try and get the PDP on our side. It has not been fruitful, and so I wanted to use this opportunity to let you know that we stand ready to support the PDP in this summer concert series, both in promotions and on-site announcing, where we would be given the opportunity of maybe promoting some things going on at the city in between sets. Right now, those opportunities are being wasted. They're not being used. So I see opportunities here where we can be of help to the city, of help to the PDP, and also for the betterment of these events and the communication to the residents that enjoy these events. And so I stand before you in support of the contract, but then also to give you the benefit of my expertise and experience in having managed these events for many years. You know that when I go up there and act as an MC, I am doing it on behalf of the city and on behalf of the PDP, and it's not about me. It's about making sure that the people attending the events hear the full scope of what's going on in America's hometown.
Thank you, Sanford.
Thank you.
Boy, as far as I'm concerned, I would like to see PDP work with Sanford. Seems like a very reasonable partnership that could be made, especially since the city is contributing very significantly to the contract. So, where I'm not about to step in and mediate an agreement here, but it would be, I think, very valuable if PDP and Sanford's hometown radio group could work something out to the benefit of the program and the benefit of the city and the benefit of the attendees.
I agree.
Okay.
That's all the public comment we have. Annie, did you want to address, because I don't think that we want to amend that section. I think there's a, but I'll let you speak to it.
I did, Council Member Roostin, I found out what you were talking about. So, in number 3, after it says events during the 2023 and 2024 summer series to assist in funding a downtown management position who will encourage and facilitate appropriate downtown development and act as a liaison between downtown property owners and merchants and other parties in the city. So it doesn't talk about events, but it does talk about somebody who's encouraging downtown development. But, I mean, I don't know what we do.
So this money will, our $75,000 will go to assist that in hiring a person to do those duties?
This contract is for the summer concert series. I think some of that was, this needs to be for the summer concert series. So that should be taken out.
Deleted?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve city contract number 2023-130 with the following exception on page 2, paragraph 3, or number 3, that we approve it minus the wording to assist in funding a downtown manager position who will encourage and facilitate appropriate downtown development, act as liaison between downtown property owners, merchants, and other parties in the city.
So Councilman Tenney, if you're comfortable, I can make the motion for approval of the contract with removal of Section 3.
So the first part of Section 3 it is good as written, which is to say that the money that the PDP shall expend all funds from the city pursuant to paragraph 1 solely for the following purposes: to organize, manage, promote, and put on the summer concert series.
So it
Period.
should end there,
Period. That's probably the best way to put that. Although it does specify consisting of not less than 20, but not more than 30 events during the 2023 concert series. So anyhow, the wording that I suggested that we remove is exactly how I would like the motion to read.
You got it?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Passes 5-1.
All righty. And we will move to item C, updating, well, you can read it.
Adoption of resolution number 2023-1845 and ordinance number 2023-1818, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Prescott, Yavapai County, Arizona, amending the Prescott City Code by amending City Code Title I, Chapter 1, Section 27 by adopting the public record document generally entitled City Code Title I, Chapter 1, Section 27, City of Prescott Procurement Code.
Thank you, Sarah. Mayor and council, excuse me, Mark Woodfill, Budget and Finance Director, for those of you who don't know me. This gives, I will take you back in time to November 22nd when we had our workshop on the opportunities to innovate local government procurement and delivery of services. I'm sure you all remember the riveting presentation. So this resolution and an ordinance before you is to make those changes to our procurement code. And I would pull up this slide to remind you kind of overview of what those things are. Currently, purchases between 0 and 5 are made with as much economy as practicable on the open market. We're proposing that move to 0 to 10. 3 competitive quotes, which is currently for $5,000 to $50,000 purchases. We would make that 10 to 100,000, and then the formal sealed bids would be moving from 50,000 to 100,000. And again, this these are changing of the levels. The procurement level, the methods are still there to do that. And then we also talked about the council approval level moving from the 25 that it currently is to the 50,000, as well as the implementation of the AEL. Is it all coming back to you? It was a riveting presentation. So the AEL will be developed as part of the annual budget process with changes to the budget process that we discussed that day. And I'd be glad to go into more detail. I just don't want to do it if you all do remember the workshop. With that, I will answer any questions or get into more detail if necessary.
Councilman Tenney.
Mark, thank you. As I recall, this was Thanksgiving week, and your presentation was one more thing for me to be thankful for.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I truly
It was
enjoyed it.
fantastic. Well, you remind me, I'm fairly certain you mentioned it then, and you may have mentioned it today, and I just missed it as I was phasing from one thing to another. But the last time that these figures were updated in this ordinance, roughly when, do you know? One of the reasons I think we're looking at this is because things have gotten more expensive, and now we're looking at giving more non-administrative attention to relatively small amounts
Yeah.
of money, and the recommendation is to adjust that.
Boy, I'd be guessing it's
Yeah,
5
yeah.
to 10 years. I don't know. When
Okay.
I started, it was anything over $500 had to be approved by council, but that was a few decades ago.
So your best guess, and there's no one I'd rather have guess on this than you.
I'd say 8 years ago.
Okay, great,
It
thanks.
seems like there was 2 sets of 7 different people up there.
Okay.
I know we were reviewing one of the terms of the city charter, talking about the council's limitations on how much can be approved based upon procurement issues. So my question is, does this change conflict with city charter language?
No, I'm sorry, Mayor. I don't know if you wanted me to answer.
Someone.
My recollection is that if you look at the city charter does talk about procurements in 3 to 5, but right below that it says it was removed in 2011, I believe, and I believe that's the time that it was last updated.
Do we have a definitive answer to that?
If you look at that, like I say, I can pull that. I can't pull it up here. It's not my computer.
Pull up as well. I don't have an answer off the top of my head, but my recollection is the same as Mark's, but I will pull it up.
Those were removed at that point. That was in the charter up to that point. Then it was discussed that it should really be part of administrative code, the ordinances. Right now, the charter talks about the council establishing contracting methods through ordinance in the code. And those other 3 sections that are in there have been removed.
Yeah, it might have something to do with personal property or something like that. So, I mean, we can move forward with this with the...
Oh, I think I know what you're referring to. The disposal of personal property of the city at $3,000 in the city charter. That is also part of the procurement code, but that did not get changed because it's still in the city charter. So that did not get changed.
Okay, and that wouldn't be impacted by this procurement policy.
No, it is, like I say, we did not change that. It remains at the 3,000.
Mr. Mayor, I did look, and that's correct. That's
Okay. All right, so as long as there's no conflict, I don't have a objection to moving forward with this policy. So we have a motion.
Mayor, I move that we adopt resolution number 2023-1845 and ordinance number 2023-1818.
Second.
Yeah, motion is second. Any public comment?
None. Joe, are you okay with a motion for both of them, or do we need 2 separate? It's listed as 2 separate.
I think doing it as 2 separate is just cleaner, although legally we could do both.
Easy enough. The mayor, it may amend my motion.
You may amend, well, you have to
I
remove
would
your
like to
second.
withdraw my first motion, if I might, at the advice of our attorney.
You're a troublemaker, Clark.
Yeah, I apologize. I was trying to move us forward. I'll be more careful in the future. I'll just sit back and let other people do it. Are you ready for a motion, though, Mayor? Okay, super.
Please proceed, Superintendent.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I move that we adopt resolution number 2023-1845.
Second.
All right, motion is second. Please vote.
Passes 6-0.
You're all looking at me? I'll do it. Okay. Mayor, I move that we adopt ordinance number 2023-1818.
Second.
Motion is second. Please vote.
Passes 6-0.
I apologize, Councilman.
Not at all. Thank
All right, now we'll move on to item 11D.
Adoption of ordinance number 2023-1819, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Prescott, Yavapai County, Arizona, amending the zoning of certain property within the city of Prescott, generally located at 607 and 608 Maricopa Drive, from residential single-family zoning district to multifamily medium-density zoning district.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Tammy DeWitt, Community Planner with the City of Prescott. Before you today is a request to rezone 2 parcels from single-family 9 density to multifamily medium density to allow the development of 2 duplex units for a total of 4 units. Under the single-family 9 zoning, each parcel will be allowed 1 single-family residence and accessory buildings, which could include a guest house. So the density isn't quite changing, except that both the dwelling units under the multifamily could be both rented out. And then each will have 2 bedrooms and a 1-car garage and parking on site, not in the street. That's required per our code. So here's an area map. So here we have the Courthouse Plaza here, and it's down White Spire Road, right adjacent to the county boundary. So as we can see here, it is zoned right now single family 9. We do have business general to the south, which we have a motel, and we have a manufactured home park. And then we have county single family residential zoning here, and we have multifamily medium here to the south. So it's not kind of out of character for the area per se. Access is via county roads, which are single lane. They're not quite 2-lane roads developed, but they have the right of way, but the paved portion is only probably about enough for 1.5 cars, which some of the neighbors did come to voice concerns about access to this property in case there's an emergency or such. But these are public roads that are maintained either by the county or by the city. Here's an imagery of the property in question. There's these 2 parcels. They're both vacant. And we do have city right-of-way out front for a road, which will have to be developed to city standards to meet fire access requirements. Here's the site plan of the property. We do show up here 2 parking spaces in front of each unit. We have 2 duplex units on each property. So we have 2 parking spaces on site, and then we have a single car garage. So each one will actually have 3 parking spaces, which is above what's required per the code. Here's a rendering that was proposed by the architect. As you can see, they're duplex units, 2 on one on each side with the garage in the middle. And then the floor plans that were also part of your packet, the garage and living area downstairs, and the 2 bedrooms and bathrooms up on the second floor. So for compatibility is something we do look at with rezonings. So we do have the mobile home park to the north and a hotel to the east, and we have single family to the west and south. This request is in compliance with the 2015 general plan in regards to density allowance for this area. We did have one letter of concern from the adjacent property owner with concerns about the changes in the setbacks, going from 25 to 20 feet in the front, and there's 7 feet on the sides, which is the same as the single family. And the water was approved administratively at 0.48 acre feet a year due to its less than 8 units. At the December 8th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, they did vote unanimously recommended approval of the rezoning as presented. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm free to answer any questions, and the architect is also here to help answer any questions.
Councilman Tenney.
Can you just clarify for me, as currently zoned, if a home were built on this and a family, say, had a typical situation, 2 cars, how many cars would be in this area accessing back and forth versus what they're proposing? Am I doing the math correctly, that there would be 2, the way it's currently proposed, if there was a single-family home built there with 2 cars, and under this situation, if there's a possibility for 2 families to be there with 2 cars each, yes?
Correct. So under the duplexes, each unit is required 2 vehicle parking spaces.
Sure.
And then if it's a single family, they need 2. And then if they have a guest house, that's 1 additionally. So even with a house and a guest house in each property, each one will at least have to have 3.
Okay, so we're looking at a scenario where we might have had 1 family dwelling there, now we're having 2, so it's double the cars, but a likely scenario is 2 additional cars going in and out of this road that wouldn't have been had we gone were we to choose to stay with the current zoning and it was developed. Thank you.
Correct.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. My question, I think, is more for Don Michaelman from Planning and Zoning. I see that he's here in the audience today, and I think it might be useful if you could talk about some of the deliberations that came up before Planning and Zoning when you guys considered this item. My recollection at that meeting, by the way, was that there was some concern about the on-street parking. I think my recollection from this meeting that I was at was that there's already a plethora of on-street parking that kind of leads into this neighborhood. Is that correct, Don?
Okay. Don Michaelman, 861 Spring Trail. To answer your question, we look at, when the Planning and Zoning Commission looks at something like this, we want to look at what is going into the property there. This one would be sort of a transition from commercial to single family with multifamily. We also look at the number of vehicles that potentially could be involved in this and where would these vehicles be parked at if need be. Because there was questions, because that road right now is a very narrow, I believe, dirt road, if I remember right when I took a look at that. And so these are things that we brought up in the meeting, with the commissioners there too. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you. I think, yeah, as long as you're going to show up to these meetings, it's worth hearing about your deliberations. So if for no other reason, I just wanted you, while you're here, I figured you might as well clue my other colleagues into kind of the discussion that happened at Planning and Zoning. So thank you.
I think one of the commissioners commented on driving out here, and I saw the same thing when I drove to post the property, that along the main road in, it's like I said, it's basically enough paved for about 1.5 cars. But it is the people are parking on both sides of the road, and that's common for this area because they don't have a lot of parking, or they're in the county and they're pre-existing. Some of them are very close to the road, so they have limited parking on site. based on old codes.
That's kind of my sense is that and I guess I'm thinking about maybe the letter of the person who is objecting to this, that being part of their concern. And I guess it seems like that's already happening. And to Councilman Tenney's point, we're talking about it, increasing by maybe 2 or 3 cars, the reality of that. So
Parked on site.
and those would be parked on site, yeah. But, maybe these people have friends that would come over and visit them. So, you never know. So I think it's good to know the context of it. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilmember Rusing.
Thank you. Tammy, I'm looking at the exterior elevation here of this fourplex. And if there's going to be 4 units, I only see 2 single-car garages here. Are these double garages, or how do you work 4 units? Are 2 units not going to have garages, or?
No, so each property has 2 units. So this one picture here is for one of the properties. Then you'll have the same thing on the adjacent property.
So there's 2 of these.
Yeah, so each unit gets 1-car garage and then 2 parking spaces up front on the property.
Okay, I got it. Thank you for the clarification. And then my other question is, this property borders the Mountain Club. And so we'll be providing water and sewer to this property. And we already provide water to the Mountain Club, city water. And if there's some adjacent properties that have septic, and they obviously have septic, and they would like to hook up to to sewer, is there any way that might happen?
From what the plans are showing is that the sewer is being brought up from the adjacent property, from the motel property to the west, mostly off of White Spar here. So it looks like from their site plan is that the sewer and water are coming up from that property. So it isn't coming in through the residential area, it's coming up from the commercial area.
Okay. All righty, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see, Councilman Shishka.
Thanks, Mayor, appreciate that. Hey, Don, could you come back up? I'm giving you some of your 10,000 steps today, Don.
Take a seat in the front row.
It seems like rezones are really tough these days. So in your opinion, I noticed that the P&Z Commission voted unanimously for approval. What really hit the commission so that they would vote unanimously for this?
I can't address for all the commission members, but the sense is the commission works on a logic basis. We try not to have an emotional basis involved in our decision. Logically, this makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have some public comment.
Councilwoman Cantelmi.
Council members that wanted to speak still.
Tammy, could you go back to the map? No, not that one, go back, right there. Am I seeing, if you look south of the hotel and the structure that has 310 on the top of it there, am I looking, there's an elevation change right there, is that correct? But does it look like there's another access to that property, maybe illegally? I'm not sure, but just south of the hotel, right there, yeah. Does that go up into, and is there an elevation change on the property right there?
Yes, there is an elevation change, and this is somebody else's property over here. So.
Right, so is that an access?
I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So is that dirt road in front of the parcels in question, that's going to be improved?
Yes, it has to be improved to meet fire requirements.
So it'll be widened?
Well, just that portion there would be improved. But from probably this point, I think it's where the pavement ends, and then to this point.
Yeah, so that should additionally solve some of their concerns about parking on the street side, other than the parking spaces in the garage space that's already provided in the buildings, right?
Correct, and they have parking already designated in front of the dwellings too, on site.
All right, any other questions or concerns? I think it sounds like a reasonably good utilization of that property, and it's in the city limits, and it adds a couple of dwelling units, and it actually improves the parking capability that is currently there.
We have some public comment.
Public
I was
comment?
going to get to that. Yes, we do. Michael Allen.
Good afternoon, and thank you for hearing me. I wrote the letter that was sent. My wife and I own the property adjacent to this new project that you'd like to put in. And it is literally a postage stamp back there. There's 2 tiny parcels, then I own the next parcel to it, and then the property adjacent to it. I don't see any way an emergency vehicle can get in and turn around in there. And I don't see any way that you can widen that road. There has been absolutely zero maintenance on Pine Road, Pine Knoll Drive, all the way out, and I have some pictures if you'd like to look at them. That road, if you went to Copper Basin, is destroyed. And nobody has maintained it from that point of Knoll and Maricopa. We take care of, my renters actually take care of that dirt road in there because there's very narrow access. Whenever a truck comes up to deliver something, people come in, for some reason they think Google, it shows that it drives straight through, and it doesn't. They have to back up, and generally somebody's there that has to help them back to get out of that area. I disagree with the statement that that's wide enough. I don't think it's safe. I'm a grading contractor. I have had to put those circles in for emergency vehicles in numerous projects. And that piece of property doesn't warrant that. There's no way you can get it in there. It dead ends into the mobile home park. And I'm not against progress, but if you're talking about putting four units in there, if you put 2 cars in each one, that's 8 cars. You would have a minimum of 20 vehicles going in and out of there a day. And I'm talking about trucks, deliveries, trash, vehicles, visitors. I don't see any way that people don't park in the whole street and start to take up my property, and I'm concerned about that. And I am for progress, but I don't think this warrants 4 units going up in that little postage stamp. If you were to drive in there and take a look at that personally, you would understand what I'm saying. That road needs to be widened, and even giving up the 25-foot setback and making it 20 feet. My mouth's dry, I'm sorry. Making it 20 feet, it still doesn't make it wide enough for vehicles to get in and out. When the lady said 1.5 cars, I think you could get 1.25 cars through there right now. I don't know how they're going to widen it or whose property's stepping on who to get the extra footage, but it's not going to happen. It won't maintain what you're trying to do. So I do disagree with the project. If there were single-family dwellings, you wouldn't have the traffic coming in and out of there. It's insane. I just disagree with it.
Thank you, Michael.
Katie Ola.
So I would ask whether the fire department looked at this and feels that they can respond to an emergency call.
The fire department did not have any concerns with the project, and it was under permit too. We had to put it off, but corrections required until this gets done, and then they can resume permitting. But they'll have to meet all fire requirements or be sprinklered.
So when they move the setback back 5 feet, that allows a widening of the road in front.
No, there's already right-of-way in front of the place, in front of these properties, so all that would be within the existing
So
right-of-way.
they just use the right-of-way for the widening
For
of the road.
for road, yes.
And how about trash collection?
That's something will have to be dealt with during permitting, and they'll have to work with the Public Works in regards to that.
Okay. Please proceed.
I do have a couple pictures here if you guys wanted to see the road in question.
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
Hello? Is that better?
Thank you.
I do have some pictures if you guys wanted to look at those in questions of the road. Okay, so my name's Katie. I live right there at 613 Maricopa. So I guess my main concern here,
Can I steal these?
yeah, going to him, he said there'd be only a couple vehicles coming in and out. But if each duplex has 2 bedrooms, so that's 4 bedrooms, 6, 8, that's potentially 2 adults. Let's just say 2 adults were in each room. That's 4 vehicles for each duplex. Coming in and out of, if you look at the pictures, you'll see that. But either way, my first thing too is, according to Prescott City Code, section 3.9.3 B2, any lot with duplexes needs to be 3,000 square feet per unit. These lots are about 5,227 square feet for one, 5,662 for the other one. So they don't even, the lot itself is not big enough for the duplex according to the code, Prescott Code. Each unit is supposed to have 3,000 square feet per unit, so that wouldn't add. Also to her, she said the fire had no issues with getting a fire truck back there. According to the fire code, I mean, that road, any dead end road between 151 and 500 feet in length has to have a width of 28 feet. At the smallest area of this road where there's no, unless if you plan on blasting people's rocks, and there's no way you can get to 28 feet. Right now it's 18 feet at the smallest width to get through. So I just don't see how we'd get to 28 feet without going into both adjoining neighbors' yard. You can see the one house right there. Maybe you could point it out for me, the 2 houses where you go through, or no? Or could I come over there and show you them? So, yeah, there's a property, our property's right to the bottom there, and then the
Ma'am, you have to speak into the microphone, I'm sorry.
and the property right above there. So there's a fence on the left, and there's rock wall, probably at least 7 feet up, where you can't expand unless if you plan on going into that person's yard and, taking the rock out to expand there. Also, there is a concern too, because I live right there. For those people to get into those units, they have to come right past right there. And our house is right there. So if you've seen in that one picture where I had the trucks kind of lined up to show you where that is our property, where we park, and then coming through, I do have concerns about heavy machinery coming through there to clear those yards, the lots, and then construction to build, and then doing the road itself. I mean, I have 3 small children, and our yard is right there where that road is. So to me, I mean, the codes are put in place to protect us. And personally, I don't think that would be protecting the 2 residents right there. The codes were put in place to protect our community, and I know it's only a couple houses, a few people who might be affected, but it could affect us a lot. And not only that, like he had said, she said, the Mountain Club, very small roads. Most of them you can't get 2 cars driving by. You have to either pull over, back up if somebody's coming down the same road. So it's very hard to understand numerous vehicles just coming through that area and then going through Mountain Club itself. But yeah, like I said, that very first thing, each unit is supposed to have 3,000 feet, and it is not. Those lots don't even get to 6,000. So
Thank you for your comments. Tammy, can you respond to any of those concerns?
Well, I don't have the square footage of the lots in front of me. So this one's 54. They were supposed to be combined. So with them combined, there's a different math calculation. So these will be combined. to address that for the density allowance, which was planned from the beginning, was these were going to be combined, and then the math is different for those when they're combined for multifamily.
Yeah, and I would think as part of the permitting process, then the developer will have to deal with those rocks to make sure that the road is widened appropriately.
The same with a single-family development, where they would have had to do the same thing for these to be developed.
Councilmember Roosing?
Tammy, since we're concerned with public safety here, do you know where the closest fire hydrant would be? Because it seems to me that the fire trucks could access through the parking lot of the hotel if there was a need.
And I'm not sure where the closest, I don't recall from when we did the pre-application conference, that was noted then. And fire didn't have a lot, when we did a pre-application conference for this, there wasn't concerns from the fire district because we see types of development on these type of areas frequently. So if they have to, they'll have to sprinkler the homes if there is no fire, or they'll have to put a fire hydrant. And then the architect is here, and he might be able to answer that a little bit better. Maybe? Okay, he doesn't know. Ryan?
Okay, so maybe these apartments will be sprinkled, you think? Because sprinkler does give people time to get out. It does save lives.
Yeah, and that'll be something that be reviewed during permitting to be a fire requirement, if it wasn't already a requirement.
Yeah, they could probably call that ladder truck into the hotel, be able to reach over there to be able to put water on a fire.
There is a significant drop in the back of that property, so whether they could get to the houses or not, I don't know from that side.
But that fire department figures that out.
Yeah, they'll.
It's not part of our.
Councilwoman can tell me.
Yep. So a question here on that map, if you stay right there. Do you see that jotted line here? Go back over to where the site is. Yeah. So coming off of that corner, well, let me get back to my question here. I'm assuming that line is actually on your survey plat. Has that property been surveyed and corner pins are intact in that property? Has it been, what I'm asking is, has the size of that piece of property been double-checked with what the, the title report would have been? And has it been surveyed yet to make sure that they're both the same? Because sometimes that isn't the case. Because somebody said that this lot doesn't look like it's big enough. Well, surely they would have surveyed it to make sure that the setbacks were met and, the property could be sited on that piece to comply with all the setbacks.
So the site plan is created from their legal description, and that they show here, this is their lots here, and it does come down the hill off the back a little bit, and it all does show it meeting the setback requirements.
Okay.
So as the lots are combined, it changes the calculation in multifamily, so they will be allowed the 4 proposed dwelling units when the properties are combined.
And then the roads leading to it, if I'm understanding right, are county unimproved roads, is that right?
They're county roads, minimally improved, which a lot of county roads are like that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Councilman Shishka?
And I retracted my question.
I appreciate your retraction. All right, if there are any other concerns or questions,
We have one more public comment, Mayor.
Sorry.
Jim Poor.
Thank you, Mayor and Council and staff. My name is Jim Poor. My wife and I have lived in the Mountain Club for over 19 years. I'm on the board, have been for 10 years. I was president for 4 years when we met with the city attorney about the water contract that we have, because we do get our water from City of Prescott. And we've been increasing the amount of dues on our people for 10 years now, so that we can better meet with the agreement. Get a lot of complaints about that. Mountain Club is the oldest planned community in Arizona. It was formed in 1926. Our beautiful historic clubhouse was built in 1928. It has always looked like a plum to developers. When we got involved in 2006, some people had gotten into our board that were going to rebuild the entire water backbone paid for by the current owners. It would cost about $10 million. And we kicked out 5 of the 11.
I need to interrupt. I'm sorry. I just don't want to deal with water issues unless it's related to this site plan. So
any density increase bothers us. We have a lot of, we have 400 lots, 390 homes. Well, 440 lots, 390 homes. It's, as has been mentioned, it's hard to find parking. We had to jealously guard our clubhouse parking. And the streets, if you have one car parked, the fire department has trouble getting down there. They're very good. They show up within 4 minutes and they can spray from anywhere. So we've had 2 or 3 fires start recently, but anyway.
This property is not in the Mountain Club.
Yes, it's
adjacent to it.
Yeah, it's adjacent to it.
So can you keep your comments related on this parcel and this issue?
Okay. The Mountain Club will be affected by any density increase in the area, because that is adjacent on 2 of the 4 sides to the Mountain Club. Anyway, it possibly for the future, we're not prepared. I just heard about this the other day, and it will affect us. Any increase in the density there is going to cause us problems. We have no sidewalks. We have 1 light bulb at the clubhouse. I hope it's the same way 90 years from now than it has been for the last 90 years, and so do most of our people. We don't vote in city elections, but we do vote. Anyway, any density increase is going to affect everybody who lives in Mountain Club.
I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all, Mayor.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion here. Does someone want to make a motion?
I'll do my first one.
Okay, go for it. Please do.
Okay, I make a motion that we adopt, the adoption of ordinance, is that the right one? The 2023-1819, a request for rezoning from single-family 9 to multifamily M, medium density, to allow for 2 duplex-type single-family homes, total of 4 dwellings, on APNs 107-14-058. This one right here? Okay. Sorry about that. I'm learning. Okay. All right. Right here. I recommend that we move to adopt ordinance number 2023-1819 with development to be in substantial conformance with the submittal site plan. Is that right?
That's correct.
That's right.
Okay.
That's the motion.
Do I hear a second?
Do we hear a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Motion is second. Any further discussions? Please vote.
Passes 5-1.
Very good. That concludes our agenda today. I will make one quote here since we're on the verge of Martin Luther King Day. So I just wanted to restate his primary comments during the I Have a Dream speech. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And I think it's about time we refocused on the content of people's character and not the color of their skin. So let's hope that we can re-embrace Dr. King's intentions and make sure that we proceed in the right direction in our city, in our state, in our country. This meeting's adjourned.